Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli out here in the shop. I got a cool little trick modification for all you tube fishermen, especially tube fishermen that are fishing in places that have gobies. You know, goby is an interesting forage. It's an invasive, it's an exotic. You see them in the Great Lakes, in rivers, canals that have commercial traffic. And whether you're fishing where gobies are at or also darters or sculpin, if you look at that forage, one of the unique things about it is it always has its head in the up position. When a goby is at rest at the bottom, if you look at it in clear water, you'll notice its head is up, its tail is down. When it moves along the bottom, its head is up and its tail is down. Darters, sculpins, they act the same way. In traditional tube fishing, you put a jig head inside of that tube and it makes the weight go down. So when you're trying to imitate that forage, you're actually doing the wrong thing because the head is down when the head of that goby or sculpin or darter should be up. Got a cool little modification here that's real easy to do, and it's going to let you present a tube that looks just like a goby or a sculpin or a darter in its natural head up position. And here it goes. Your favorite tube bait. I'm in love with the power bait, all sizes, but especially the 3.5, 3.5 inch. A pack of VMC Nico hooks. This is designed for Nico rigging, but it's perfect for this modification. For the real small finesse tubes, a 1/0. For the 3.5s, a 2/0. And then if you're using a 4 or a 4 1/4, a bigger tube, you can go to the 3/0 VMC Nico hook. And we want to take this hook and we want to weight it, not at the head like a regular tube jig head, but we want to weight it at the bottom so that when this tube jig is at rest or you're dragging it, you're pulling it along the bottom, it's head up. And it's real simple. You can use 2 different kinds of lead weights. They're real inexpensive. One is called a rubber core sinker. It's just a little piece of lead. It has a piece of rubber in the middle. You pull that rubber out, and when you pull the rubber out of that rubber core sinker, it just has an open channel in it. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to get my VMC Nico hook. I'm going to get that rubber core lead weight with the rubber pulled out of it, and I'm going to fix it right below the bend of the hook. I'm just going to get my pliers, and get my Gerbers, and I'm going to mash that down on the shank of the hook. Remember, this rubber core weight is lead, so it mashes down real easy. And I'm going to mash it down to make sure it closes that gap all the way. And the great thing about these rubber core weights is they're inexpensive. I can carry sizes from a 1/16 all the way up to a 1/2 or a 3/4. Now, if you look at it, we've got our 2/0 VMC Nico, and it's weighted in the back. It's weighted in the back bend of that hook. And then finally, it's easy. We're just going to insert it in the tube. I'll wet it a little bit just to help it slide in there. I'm going to push it to the front just like you would a tube jig head. And I don't want to come out of the nose of the tube, but I want to come out just right before the nose of that bait. I'm going to push the eyelet out. And there you have it. And when you work this bait, when it rests on the bottom, it rests tail down, nose up. When you drag it, when you're imitating that tube and you're dragging it on St. Clair, Erie, Ontario, Lake Champlain, wherever you're at, it's going to go head up, just like a real goby. We can make that same modification with a good old-fashioned split shot. I carry them in these little discs, a whole bunch of different sizes, and we're going to do that same exact thing with a round split shot. I'm going to get it. I'm going to put it right on the back of that hook, right where that bend starts. I'm going to get my Gerbers. gonna mash it down real tight on that thing. Here you go. Regular old split shot, super inexpensive. You can change weights on the fly when you carry that disc. Get your tube, wet it, put that thing in there, push it out right before you get to the nose of the bait, and we have that same system of weight in the back, nose up, for a natural way to present a tube. Looks like a goby, looks like a darter, looks like a sculpin. The other thing this modification is going to do, it's going to help keep this bait out of the snags, and it's going to help protect that knot. When you have a regular tube jig head in there, it's nose down, it's digging into the rocks. A lot of abuse there at the front of that. It's getting snagged, the knot's getting abrasion. But when you have it weighted in the back, it keeps the head up even as you pull it. And it's going to help keep it out of the rocks, and it's going to help protect that knot. Killer tube jig modification for all my tube fishermen. Really inexpensive stuff.